Let's be honest for a moment. You talked to someone for weeks, maybe months. Good morning texts, conversations that went nowhere and everywhere at the same time. You never made it official. You never even really met all of her, just the parts she lets you see early on, the good parts, the highlight reel. And then, for no dramatic reason at all, no fight, no red flag, nothing you could even point to, it just stopped. No closure, no explanation. Because here's the part that stings the most. No one owes you one. You were never official enough to be owed anything. So now you're stuck replaying the good parts on a loop, wondering what happened to someone you never actually got to fully know. I've been through this. Almost everyone has, but almost nobody talks about it, which is exactly why some people are still not over it years later. Here's what nobody tells you. You're not missing her. You're missing a preview, a trailer for a movie that never got made. You only ever saw the good sides, because that's all early talking stages ever show you. No arguments, no bad days, no boring Tuesdays. Just the version of a person still on their best behavior. And somehow that preview is the thing you can't put down. By the end of this, you'll finally understand why it hits you this hard, what actually gets you out of it, and how to stop the next preview from doing this to you all over again. The unfinished room. Think about a series that got canceled right when it was getting good. Not a bad show you dropped halfway, one that had you hooked. Great characters, great story, everything building towards something. And now you're at work and you can't focus because part of you is still there, still wanting to get home and press play and find out what happens next. Except there is no next episode. There never will be. And somehow, months later, you're still thinking about it more than shows you actually finished. That's not about the show, that's about your brain. When something ends cleanly, you get a final scene. Even a bad ending gives you something to close the file on, but when it just cuts off mid-story, your brain never gets to finish it, so it keeps the door open, keeps replaying the last few messages, the last conversation, like there's a clue buried in there somewhere. Psychology has a name for exactly this, the Zeigarnik effect. Our minds hold on to unfinished things far more tightly than finished ones. It's the same reason an unfinished to-do list nags at you all day, but a completed one disappears from your mind the second it's done. Which means this was never really about her. It's about your brain still holding a spot on the couch, waiting for an episode that's never going to air. We'll get to how you actually turn the TV off.
The preview problem. Think about a job interview. You show up, you're polite, you're prepared, you say all the right things. The interviewer doesn't see you stressed, annoyed, or having an off day. They see maybe an hour of your best behavior, and somehow that hour is enough for them to assume you're great at everything else too. That's exactly what happened with her. Maybe there were a few small moments that weren't perfect, an off reply, a slow response, something minor. But it never mattered because the good so clearly outweighed it. No real bad days, no boring Tuesdays, no arguments over nothing. Just the highlights, on repeat, drowning out anything small enough to raise a flag. And your brain took those highlights and ran with them. One good trait made you assume the rest were good too. That's not naivety, that's just how the mind works. Psychologists call it the halo effect. When one positive impression convinces you that everything else about a person must be just as positive, even without proof. Which means the version of her you've been missing isn't really her. It's a highlight reel your brain mistook for the whole story. We'll get to how you actually get past the halo effect. But first, there's a third thing your mind is still doing, and it might be the hardest one to admit. Grief with no name. Here's the part that's hard to admit. Some part of you is still checking, still glancing at her story, still noticing when she's active, still hoping, quietly, that one day she'll text, "Hey, sorry I disappeared," and it'll all make sense again. You're not doing this because you think it'll happen. You're doing it because some part of your mind still hasn't accepted that it's actually over. And here's why. Real breakups come with permission to grieve. Someone dies, you get a funeral. A relationship ends, you get to say, "We broke up," and people nod. They get it. They check in on you. But this has no ceremony, no label. You can't exactly tell your friends, "I'm sad about someone I was never official with," without feeling like you're overreacting. So you don't talk about it. And grief that doesn't get spoken out loud doesn't disappear. It just goes quiet and waits. Psychologists call this ambiguous loss, a loss with no clear ending, no ritual, and no social permission to actually process it. It's the same thing family members of missing persons experience, just at a completely different scale. Grief with nowhere to put itself down. Which means you're not being dramatic. You're not stuck on someone who didn't matter. You're carrying a loss nobody ever told you was allowed to hurt this much. Now that you know what's actually been happening in your head, the unfinished room, the preview problem, the grief with no name, it's time to actually do something about all three.
So here's where most videos like this would tell you to just get over it. Block her, delete the chats, distract yourself until it fades. But that's not actually how any of this heals. You don't get over an unfinished story by ignoring it. You get over it by finishing it, on your own terms, without her. Here's how you close all three gaps, one at a time. Remember the show that got canceled? The one that never left your head? That's the Zeigarnik effect at work. And you can't force her to give you an ending, but you don't actually need her to. You can write one yourself. Not a fantasy where it all works out, a real one. Write down the conversation you never got to have. Say what you needed to say. Ask the question you never got to ask. Then answer it yourself, honestly, the way it probably would have gone if you'd known her for real. It sounds too simple to work, but your brain doesn't actually know the difference between an ending it received and an ending it created. Either way, the file gets marked closed. That's the whole trick. You're not pretending it doesn't hurt. You're just finally giving your mind the one thing it's been begging for since the day she went quiet: a last page. Remember the halo effect from earlier? The highlight reel your brain mistook for the whole story? Here's how you take that power back. Grab a piece of paper and actually separate two columns: what you know for a fact and what you assumed. Be honest with yourself. She was funny, fact. She would have been the perfect girlfriend, assumption. She texted good morning, fact. She was different from everyone else, assumption, because you never had enough time with her to know that. Most people who do this exercise are shocked at how short the facts column is compared to the assumptions one. And that's the point. You're not missing her. You're missing a version of her that was mostly built by you, in your own head, out of a handful of good moments. You weren't in love with her. You were in love with your own imagination and gave her the credit for it. Remember the ambiguous loss from earlier? The grief with no name, no ceremony, no permission to feel this heavy? Here's how you finally let it out. Tell someone. Not the whole internet, not a long dramatic post, just one person you trust. Say it plainly. I've been struggling to get over someone I never actually was, and I finally understand why. That's it. No justification needed. The moment grief gets a name and a witness, it stops being this shapeless thing living quietly in the back of your mind. It becomes something you survived, not something you're still stuck inside. You don't need a label from her. You just needed one from yourself. Think about the last time you scrolled past an old chat. Weeks of good morning texts, conversations that went nowhere and everywhere, and then nothing. No fight, no explanation, just silence. Maybe you were the one left wondering what happened, or maybe you were the one who went quiet because it felt easier than explaining something you couldn't fully explain yourself. Either way, now you understand what was actually happening in that silence. The unfinished story, the highlight reel, the grief nobody gave a name to. You never dated her, but you still have to get over her. And now, finally, you know how. Make sure in this process you enjoy the simple things in life, because it's the simple things that make life amazing. Peace.